What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the Bear With Us podcast. I am Frank. Joined with me is Nas. Nas, Victory Tuesday. How are we feeling?
I mean, it's starting to feel a little regular, like Bears on a little hot streak here. A little hot streak. Feels good.
Agreed. Yeah, and it's it's to a point where the Bears aren't playoff bound. We know that. But just like you said, it's like almost expected. It feels a little regular, like to a point where I hope I'm not taking these for granted, because like there hasn't been a lot of winning lately, and like we beat the Falcons, and I'm almost to the point where I'm like, you're supposed to beat the Falcons, and I probably shouldn't feel that way, because I don't know if this team should, quote unquote, be beating anybody. Do you sort of have those same feelings?
I don't know. Like watching them, like talent level wise, it's like, okay, we are definitely good enough to beat the bad teams.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, now we need to decide, are we a team on the rise that's just kind of like we're a bad good team that's getting better, or are we just a good bad team? It's like, and I think the Bears are going to find their identity in here in the next 13 months.
Yeah.
We're about to find out who we really are.
Yeah,
and it's exciting. It's actually exciting.
It's very exciting, and I like, honestly, even if you took away what we're gonna have to deal with the number one pick and the quarterback decision, it would be exciting just from what you talked about. Because the one thing I think me, you, and Jack, and I think a lot of people have agreed upon is, even with this development, with the defense, and even though it's inconsistent, this movement forward with the offense, it seems like on the offensive side, especially in contrast to the defense, there still isn't that identity. So as we look to this offseason, to me, again, even taking quarterback out of it, I think you're going to see Poles and Eberflus really try to get their fingerprints on that and really mold it to have an identity, because there still isn't one yet. It's a little hit or miss. And again, you can blame it on Getsy a little bit, blame it on Fields here, and blame it on injuries, the offensive line, yada, yada. You can sort of splice up the blame, but the reality is there hasn't been a consistent one. So just looking towards the future for that, that's going to be very exciting to see, what they do.
I can't wait. I can't wait to give you this trade proposal that I came up with. I'm so fucking excited.
I'm excited about it too, because I think it's going to play into some of the thoughts that I have, with recent developments and such. Before we get there though, Nas, let's talk about the game itself really quickly. While we were offline, y'all, what I told Nas, like, it's a little bit hard to sort of dissect anything, because the game, it wasn't like things didn't happen that we didn't see before. Montez Sweat played another awesome game. Gervon Dexter continues to come along. That's phenomenal. Tyreek Stevenson, I think, has turned a fucking corner. This kid is balling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the defensive side of the football is playing ball. And we've said it for, at least a month now, that this linebacking core is the best that we've had in quite some time, just as a full squad, or a full positional group. So it's not to take away from anything that they've done. And again, I don't want to take anything for granted, because we don't know if they're going to be this good next year or whatever. But and then even on the offensive side of the ball, I know people were excited about Fields. I was one of them. He had PFF graded 5, what do they call them, tight window or big time throws. Like, it was good stuff. But again,
oh my God, yeah, throw of the year to DJ in the corner.
Phenomenal.
He couldn't have handed it to him better.
No, absolutely not. And I almost feel the same way about that Tyler Scott drop. And then even the two of them. Tyler Scott should have 2 touchdowns that game. You're talking about some really big throw. But again, it's not to take anything away from Fields, but even though it's been inconsistent over 3 years, we've still seen, we know that talent's there. It just has to be more consistent. So it's like, I'm watching that game and I'm like, man, if it was just like, not only just from Fields, but just the whole team, the way it came together, even like, hell, I'll give Getsy some credit. I thought he called a fucking phenomenal game. I thought he continued to attack deep. I thought the intermediate routes were there. I also, I think it went hand in hand. Fields played within the rhythm of the offense much better than he has in most games, especially this season. Like, it all sort of came together. So, again, while it wasn't anything new, it was still fun to see. But from like a analysis standpoint, it's like, yeah, we've sort of seen this before. It's just something that we need to see more consistently. Nas, outside of that, did you have, or just like, what were some thoughts as you were watching, or after the fact, or just some takeaways that you had?
I think the play calling and the whole game plan was good, but it was all predicated on one thing. The Bears knew that they weren't going to have to do much to dominate time of possession. Like, you look through the log and it's just like terrible possession after terrible possession by the Falcons, like splash play here, splash play there. But like the Bears had the ball for 37 minutes. So like they're playing a top tier, like what people are saying is a top tier defense in Atlanta. I don't know how much their division actually puffs those numbers up. I wouldn't call it a top 5 defense, but statistically, I guess. But the Bears knew, like, okay, as long as we don't make mistakes, we are going to dominate this game. So take care of the football. And Justin, I got to say, Justin's got to play with the 2 gloves, baby. It just looked better. The ball security looked nice. Made nice throws. Didn't seem to affect him at all for throwing the football. So let's just keep the gloves on, get extra stick on that thing. Now, my impressions of the game, it was expected. I think I don't think there was a Bear fan that was like, oh, we're going to lose this game. Not one. 0 shot.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons, for the vast amount of skill position players that they have, and it's probably more so due to coaching, and obviously the quarterback position's a little bit of a mess, but they're just not a scary team, which is like weird because if you look at them on paper, I mean, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, like they have weapons. I mean, even Jonnu Smith is a good second tight end. Like they have really good players, and they just can't seem to put it together. So I think for their sake, I really hope that they get rid of Arthur Smith because I do think he's probably the biggest problem. This from an outsider. Falcons fans may feel differently.
The guy can coach offense, but there's one missing ingredient for the Falcons. Okay, well, I truly believe Arthur Smith can coach offense. They're missing a quarterback.
Yeah.
Which, can I just go into the trade right now?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready for it.
Okay, we trade the Falcons, the number 1 pick.
Okay, and what? Oh, keep going. Go ahead.
Their pick is I just looked at it. It's like the 9th.
Okay, so same as last
year. Yeah. So. Yeah, that would put us in position 9 as of right now. It looks like that's pretty solidified. We'll have like 9 through 12. We're also in that mix, our actual pick. So we trade them the first pick for Kyle Pitts and 3 firsts. Okay, we let them we'll technically 2 firsts. Like we'll get 2 firsts in the trade for Kyle Pitts, who's in a contract year. Okay, or going into his 4th year. So we restructure his deal. Okay, and then we draft any of the 3 receivers and a left tackle. And I think because the way it's shaping up, it doesn't look like Fields is going to go.
I agree.
Everything we're hearing, it's like, as much as I disagree with the decision, if we're not going to do it, let's go all the fuck in.
Yeah.
We trade for a tight end because, and Kmet, he's a good tight end, but he's not a game-breaking tight end. So we beef up the mismatches because I'm going to be honest, the way Justin throws the ball, having bigger targets in the middle of the field is truly what's going to help him more than anything. And having a freak athlete like Kyle Pitts there for him to utilize, I think that only helps DJ Moore, who's having a career year, by the way.
Fucking incredible.
With a quarterback who supposedly can't throw the football, throwing it pretty well to one guy. So maybe it's more of a trust thing. So we add people Justin can trust. So we trade for Kyle Pitts and 3 firsts. They can take Caleb. They still have enough playmakers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So left over. So it's like, give us that tight end. It's pretty much the DJ deal. And then we go receiver, left tackle, or O-line. And then free agency, you add the center. And like we are then really, really cooking with gas. And the Bears are a playoff team, just like that. Like no doubt in my mind, playoff team. A couple things that also I would like to add on to this. If Mike Vrabel, which it sounds like there is some contention in Tennessee, if Vrabel becomes available, the Bears have to go all in on that. This is a very much, and I think it was you who texted it, like a Rick Renteria situation.
Yep.
Okay. If someone like that becomes available, it's like, oh, maybe we scrap the plan here for a second. And we have someone who can be the CEO of the team, who understands the rule book as good as any coach out there, and gets his guys ready to play in big games. So, I mean, that would be like, if that was the off season, I would have a huge hard on right now. Oh my God. I would be ready to fucking go. My sneaky coach suggestion would be Todd Monken. If we make the Kyle Pitts trade or something like it, getting Todd Monken in here, Lamar having an MVP season, Monken's going to be in demand, baby. There's going to be like 7 dudes fired this offseason. Why not have us be put in that little. So I think the Monk and Vrabel, we go in there. If none of those pan out, all right, the Flus thing, whatever, I can handle it. At least I know the defense will be good. We change the OC. We see what happens. I couldn't be more. I think this is Chicago sports right now. Like the glimmer of hope that this team could be good has gotten me so
I know
fucking hyped up because I'm just looking for anything. And the Cubs have signed as many free agents as the Bears have for baseball team. So like it's a fucking joke. So I need this. I truly need this, and I need action. Draft day action, trading for Kyle Pitts and 3 firsts. Fucking go.
Listen, I would love it. I think I would take that trade in a heartbeat. Not only because the one thing that you mentioned, what I thought you were going to say about Cole Kmet is it doesn't even that wouldn't affect what Cole Kmet can do in this offense. Kyle Pitts is so much more versatile as a weapon. No knock on Cole, but Cole is a straight up tight end. Kyle Pitts can line up 100%. On the outside. He can line up on the inside. You can fucking have 11 personnel. I mean, you could do whatever the fuck you wanted to with those two both on the. But you could probably even line him up in the backfield running routes. Like he's that type of athlete. That would be great.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's like traditionally we don't out scheme anybody. Guess he's not out scheming anyone. So it's like, okay, well, maybe our advantage is mismatches because DJ's doing fine in this offense.
Yeah.
So maybe it's playmakers. Like maybe we don't need to rely on the fucking Tyler Scotts of the world anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that, the one of the things that you brought up when you talked about Kyle Pitts and just sort of because I feel like it was the same theory with Lamar Jackson. Get him some bigger targets, get him some guys who can go up and get the ball and just let him be a little more comfortable. I feel the same about Fields, and I guess I never completed the thought until literally now until you just said that. You think about some of the incredible throws in year one that me, you, Jack, everyone else is like, holy shit, this guy might have a little something. Those were seam routes to Jimmy Graham, who was 6'7", and he was also making phenomenal snags. Like these were tight ends who were, and so yeah, I mean, adding to that would be helpful. I think the other thing though, because, and this is, I just want to say where I stand on everything. I feel like it's so layered. So I hope I don't ramble too long. But one, I don't like that people are acting like one move or the other is irrational. I think there's a rationale to keeping Fields, and I think there's a rationale to moving on from him and drafting Caleb Williams. Hopefully it's not Drake May. I'm kind of out on him as the number one pick anyway. I don't think he's number one worthy. So where I landed with that is I'm going to trust Poles with his evaluations and go for it. But where I actually stand on it, because the more I'm thinking about it, Nas, if like how many quarterbacks in this league right now, I mean, even probably fucking historically, would you turn down 3 first-round picks, probably a couple of seconds, and potentially like a starter like Kyle Pitts for? The list is very fucking low of like, especially quarterbacks today. Like almost anyone in the league would get traded for that. So like I'm looking at a college guy, and I know some people are super high, generational type of thing, but at the end of the day, we still don't know. Excuse me. So it's like, if we're going to get that type of return, man, it's hard to say no to that because it's not like we're to the point where we were in year 3 with Mitch, where it was like, we have to fucking get Nick Foles. And we were excited about fucking Nick Foles. That's how bad Mitch was. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. We're not there yet. We at least know what the floor is with Fields with hope that he can continue to fulfill his ceiling. But then, dude, there's just like, and I know this is stupid and it's not rational and there's no stats to back any of this up. It is a little bit of like a feeling thing, like an emotional thing. We have never had a fan base be as supportive to Fields or to any quarterback as they were to Fields on Sunday. There were no Let's Go Mitches. There were no Let's Go Jays. There were no Let's Go Rex. There were no Let's Go. I mean, dude, the way that the city has rallied around this kid. And again, I know all offseason, it may even come from you, because I know you're very critical, and I can be too. I think you're more critical than I am, which justly so. I'm not taking away from it or saying it's wrong. But like, we can throw the fourth quarter stats and we can throw the this and I get it. I totally get it. But part of me is just like, there are things that he has that we don't know if the next guy, whether it's Caleb or not, does. The way that locker room is around this guy, he breaks those 2 tackles in the backfield. He runs for that first down on 3rd down. The defense gets in his fucking face, patting him. Even like, so 2 weeks ago when they asked DJ about it, I was like, he's just being a good teammate. You know what I mean? Like, of course, what is he supposed to say? But it's starting to go beyond that, man. It's not just, hey, I'm being a good teammate while I'm here. And because if you ask George Pickens about what he thinks about Kenny Pickett, I don't think he's going to have that same answer. And it's not a knock on Pickens. because I don't know if Deontay Johnson would have that same answer either. Like, these guys genuinely fucking love Justin Fields. Like, and that just, this isn't like high school kids who feel like they're brothers. These are professionals, and you're gonna get anecdotes about who you like and who you dislike. I mean, because you were remember we had this whole text exchange with me, you, and Jack, and I wasn't privy to this, but like, there are breadcrumbs that people don't really like Kyler Murray. Like things get out when you're not a good teammate, when you're not good in the locker room, and we have none of that with Justin. And it's not a reflection of what I think or what people may think about the red flags with Caleb Williams. It's a reflection of whoever's going to be here next after him. That's a tough act to follow, man, because again, we have this baseline of what it is to be a teammate, what he is as a super athlete and a quarterback who was hopefully still ascending. It's so where I'm at with, and again, I know none of that, you can't like quantify it, but it's just this feeling that I have, man. Like, I don't know, I swear, I don't know if I've ever been as emotionally attached to a Bears quarterback as I am with Justin Fields. And I'll just straight up own it. Like, I get there's going to be some bias when we continue to break this down that I've never had. After about year 5 or year 6 with Jay Cutler, I was like, I still felt like the Bears did him wrong, but I was like, if we move on from him at any one of these years, it is what it is. It sort of played its way out. 2.5 years, 3 years into Mitch, I was like, yeah, he's not the guy. Like, you can see it. And again, like, Justin hasn't shown consistency, but we see the flashes still. We see this, like, dude, just fucking give me, like, it doesn't even have to be 17. Give me like 12 games of this and give me 3 or 4 duds, and we would still be in a great position. But just everything else that comes with the package of Justin Fields it's like, I can't shake this feeling that I have. And it's also like, and again, like, I'm not the only one that has said this. You see, like, in training camp, when has it been cool to be a Bears quarterback? There's fucking little kids with number 1 jerseys and wanting his signature.
Yeah,
and like, I mean, it's almost like this Allen Iverson effect where, like, there's little white kids with fucking braids and they want to be Justin Fields. Like, there's this effect that we've never had in the city of Chicago. I would even dare to say, Nas, any athlete of my lifetime, like Sosa was probably the biggest, and I don't know if he had that. Like, who else has, I mean, Derrick Rose probably, but his prime was cut so short that I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it was captivated to the fullest, like, because after the MVP is when the injuries happen. Like, this just feels like something totally different than we've ever experienced in Chicago, and at least in our lifetime, but since Michael.
I mean, it's got to be the resiliency and like the respect that he's garnered, like the staying level-headed throughout the entire experience. Like, you want to talk be like a Flus being a lame duck coach? Like, Justin has been a lame duck QB all year and just said the right thing, played his ass off, like. And like, just taken all the criticism and just fucking played his fucking heart. Like, he's put his body on the line. Like, the guy, like, and just seeing the wow plays, like, you combine that with the wow plays and you're just like, okay, like, maybe this guy is special, because there are things on the field that he does that no one else can do. And then he handles himself as classy as you can. So it's like, what's our fucking problem? Why do we want to move on from this guy? Like, maybe we're the problem. Maybe it's not Justin. And it's like, also, like, I think rallying around someone like that, like, seeing the team react to him, like, when you see players love a guy, you see his teammates fight for him, you're like, that does something to you emotionally. It kind of takes away all the other bullshit that surrounds professional sports. And you start to like, oh, wait, these dudes just fucking love that guy and they just want to play with this dude. Like, and seeing that, like, yeah, 100%, super endearing. And I mean, I'm prepared for Justin to stay. I'm prepared for Flus to stay. Like, the more things that have come out, the way it's playing out, the way the city loves the dude, like, it just feels like that's kind of going to be the way to go. And with that, we need to accept that he is not going to be the all-encompassing quarterback that lifts everyone up. He needs some help. So, and Poles, you could argue, has made the trade of the decade easily. So with that, we could get him the help, and we could still cheer for this dude that we love, that loves this city, loves playing for this team. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'll live with that.
Yep.
That's fine. The way we're about to acquire talent for the second straight offseason it's going to be staggering, and you're going to be all of a sudden you're going to look at the rosters of the NFC North and you're going to start looking at our roster and you're like, oh shit.
Yep.
This team is as talented as anybody. And it happened in a 2-year span. It was a 2-year flip. And it's fucking cool. And it's like, I'm fine if we go with that route. Like, I'll still root for the team because at least I see a direction.
Exactly.
You know? And so whatever. Like, let's go. I mean, do I still think Justin is a health risk? Yes. Do I still think he misses throws all the time? Yes. And look who he's throwing to, man. He's got one bona fide dude, like just absolute stud in DJ Moore. You cannot say that about anybody else, that they're a stud no matter where they are. Cole Kmet is just, you know, like he's a nice player, but you could argue he's just getting scraps. Like he's just getting the residual effect of the other dudes that aren't named DJ being bums. Like, so let's get some more playmakers in here. Let's get the guy some more protection, someone who can fucking snap him the ball.
Oh God,
I mean, you think Jalen Milroe wants a guy who can snap him the ball? Like, this is like, it was like watching Justin.
I know.
It's like, how could you look at the rush or look at your receivers or be in rhythm if you have to fucking keep track of the ball every time it's snapped at you? It's absurd. So, no, yeah, I mean, I'm all positivity here. I'm not criticizing anything the team's doing. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to beat the shit out of the Packers on Sunday and go into this offseason on a high. And come next season, I mean, the Lions are talented, but there is a deficiency at head coach. It's very vulnerable there. Jordan Love, they're going to give him another year. Vulnerable. Minnesota, rebuild. Vulnerable. Like, the North could be ours as soon as next season.
Yeah, and realistically, dude, if and I don't want to get into this conversation because I think that'll just be an overarching thing that we'll talk about for damn near every episode until next season. If this coaching staff doesn't lose us 3 games, the North could have been ours this year. Like, the talent is already, like, we're not nearly as far away from a deep playoff run as people want. And I think as you know, I'm starting to connect dots. I think. Because I've had like the beginning of thoughts since Justin has been here, really, and especially last year. And the one thing that I always want to do with the young quarterback is set them up in a no excuse environment. And I don't think we're there yet with him. So like that's been my pushback. Is I know some of the fourth quarter stats aren't the greatest. I know, you know, the passing and the EPA and the advanced stats don't always look the greatest. But it's like, how many quarterbacks in this league, thinking of his first year and especially last year, could have had better numbers in those situations? There's some, like Josh Allen, probably Mahomes. We're seeing probably Mahomes do that now. Like, you know, he's in. So like there are some who can do it, but we're talking about the absolute extreme of the extreme. Like, they're going to go down as the best of their generation, the best of their draft classes, hands down, Hall of Famers probably. Definitely in Mahomes' case, right? Like there's a few guys who can do that. And it's like, to your point, it's, I think what I have seen a lot lately is people getting exposed for who are very harsh on Justin now. They're getting tweets pulled from like OTAs and they're like, Justin's winning MVP. And it's like, I mean, you can go back literally to mine and Jack's episodes of like, stop with that that's a ridiculous expectation for Justin Fields. Like, and it's not to say he doesn't have the talent to do it, but it's just like, let him put some things together before
so if you're saying that, like, they're not watching everything.
No. But the thing is like, I'm not trying to give the kid training wheels, but I'm also trying to be realistic about it so we can view this, so we can be where we're at now and say, hey, just like you said, maybe it is a little bit too early to move on, because I think that's where we should be at this point. Because again, I'll continue to say it, we would, if we didn't make that trade for the number 1 last year and we just picked fucking Will Anderson or something, we wouldn't even be close to having a discussion of moving on from Fields. We'd be talking about, should we move up and try to get Marvin Harrison, or what? Should we be losing some of these fucking games to get in position for Brock Bowers? Like, we wouldn't even be having a discussion for moving on from Justin. Poles' fucking master fleece is the reason we're having this conversation, and that's really it.
Could do it again, by the way.
He can do it again. But see,
let's say one of these guys is a miss. Like, let's say Caleb Williams is a miss or has struggles his first year. We could be back in a very similar situation next year if we trade that pick.
We are going to be in a similar situation regardless. And then that was going to be my second point. This is another point that connected in my head. Think about where Ryan Poles comes from. Came from the Kansas City organization. they had that team built before they got their quarterback. Sometimes that just happens. Detroit may be that next team to do that. I think that team is built, and I think Goff, coaching with the way he's a little off the handle sometimes, but I think Goff definitely caps what they can do, as a team and as an offense. But they built the team first. They could have had Justin. They could have had some of these guys, but they were like, no, we want to continue to build. Kansas City did that same exact thing with Patrick Mahomes. This isn't taking anything away from Pat, but he was set up to be as successful as he is now. They had the team around him. He got to sit damn near a full year, except for the last game. He got to sit behind one of the best quarterbacks of an era. Maybe not a Hall of Famer, but a fucking professional quarterback through and through, and Alex Smith. So it's like the Bears are, I guess that's connecting this other dot, is people are acting like if they don't take Caleb and Field just sucks next year, we're out of it. We're going to have 2 first-rounders for the next couple of years. We're going to be in position to move up in these drafts. And you know what? We're not only are we going to be in a position draft capital-wise, we're going to have a team good enough that we're not, it's not like, oh, we're going to have all these holes and we're just selling the future to get this quarterback to make up for those holes. If this draft hits, if this 2024 draft hits, we won't have any at all. Or I mean, every team has some holes, but like, it's not going to be that situation where you're wanting this next guy to come in and have to be perfect or have to be the savior. You're setting up the next guy for success regardless. Like, people who are in this mold of like, it has to be not. No, it doesn't, because every single year, like, we're going to be having these conversations about Shedeur Sanders next year. It just is what it is. Like, there's going to be another guy or two who everyone loves. It's very rare, especially now with quarterback development and the way these college offenses, or I should say the way that the NFL offenses are adopting college schemes and such, that you have the Kenny Pickett draft where it's only 1 in the first and then Malik in the third and Howell in the fifth. Like, there's 2 or 3, sometimes 4 or 5 that go in the first and can be very good starters in this league.
The hit rate's so low that, like, at this point, it's like, is it really worth it for our team where we currently stand to do it? And it's like, if Poles says no, like, I'm not going to fight with it. Like, let's go. Yeah, I mean, the residual effect of this one trade is going to take care of maintaining talent on this team for the next like 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So that, like, if we can get this next part right, when it's time to pay people, it'll actually be okay to move on from them because of the residual effects of this very trade.
Yep.
So, and that's how you sustain success in the NFL. You have to find a way to keep the talent level up, and because you can't pay everybody. So I just everything that you're saying, I'm kind of right on board with. Like, nothing's a guarantee with any of these dudes come out. Like Michael Penix yesterday making some throws. It's like, yeah, okay, but like, this is his 6th year in college, and he's still looking at the sideline every pre-snap. So it's like, how far, like, he's got the arm talent, but it's like, okay, can he adjust to the NFL style of offense? I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't know with any of these dudes. We don't know anything that they're doing. People are saying JJ McCarthy is going to end up being like a solid pro. And it's just like, maybe, like, but maybe he's a poor man's like Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how good he's going to be. Like, that talent wise, it doesn't look like much. That first throw last night didn't look like much. Like, looked like the moment got to him, and he was just in a big game last year. And it's just like, okay, I don't know. Yeah, like, it's such a crapshoot. I'm ready to ride with this team if that's the decision.
No, and I'm sort of looking at the teams that way. I'm not like talking crazy, but again, now these teams aren't in position, so they probably say no off of merit. But I'm just talking talent wise. How many quarterbacks? Because we're talking about Caleb Williams here, who is an awesome prospect. I don't know if he's generational. Because the only guy I didn't think Trevor Lawrence was either. Not to take away from it, I thought he was a very good prospect. Andrew Luck was the last guy who I was like, this dude's gonna come in, and he did it. I was like, this dude's gonna come in and be an immediate like top 10 dude. Like, he was not only built for it, he could make every single throw. He just his post and pre-snap reads. I mean, everything was there with Luck, and I don't think we've seen that since. But so just from a talent standpoint, the only quarterbacks that I'm saying no to 3 firsts, probably some 2nd and 3rd day drafts as well. And we've seen names like Max Crosby. You brought up Kyle Pitts. I mean, you're talking about like high level starters along with this. You're talking Josh Allen. I mean, Miami would do fucking backflips if someone offered that for Tua. I know they like him, but just talent wise, there's no fucking way. You got Allen, you got Mahomes. I mean, I don't know. I think they would do it with the Chargers, especially given the situation. I know Herbert's extremely talented, but given they're probably gonna have to do some sort of retooling with their, with their cap, they would do that in a fucking heartbeat. Lamar, you're not doing it for. Can you imagine if someone came to Cleveland and said, "Hey, we'll take that fucking contract off of your hands"? Like, I mean, like that's my point. And that was another dot that I don't think I was articulating well. It's not a knock against Caleb. I think he's going to be a really good professional, a potentially top 5, top 10 talent. I get it. I see the talent there, and even negating some of the potential attitude, red flags, yada yada. We hear that all the time. You never really know, but that's a fucking haul for one player in a hole that isn't all that big, if it's even a hole at all. You know what I like? Again, if this was Mitch, I'd say, no, you ignore that noise. You ignore that noise and you go and get the quarterback and you keep going. We're in a little bit different of a situation. And again, because there's only, because Dallas would do, just talent-wise, Dallas would do that for Dak. I think Philly would do that for Hurts.
Before you go any further, we talked about this via text, about this state of mind that we're currently in is very week to week. I do think we need to say that in this pod, because if we throw up a piece of shit game on Sunday, everyone in this city is going to say, all right, let's just draft Caleb. And you fucking know it, and I know it, and everyone's going to be like, get rid of Flus. Like, it, like this low key, like, it is a big game. If we lose this game 27-10, I think Flus is out. I think if this is not a one possession game, win or lose, I guess if this is not a one possession loss, I think Flus is out. I think if we get blown out by this team, the whole Fields narrative changes, the whole Flus narrative changes. I think Getsy's gone. And I think probably 80% of people that, honestly, the only 20% of people who think Getsy's staying is probably the people that aren't really watching.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Bears in and out. But anybody who's been watching this team and the horizontal air raid offense knows Getsy's gone. He's got to be. And so, but I do think that's important to say. Like, we're excited because of the talent level. Let's just point out, we have not beaten a good team. Detroit. Okay, minus Detroit. Sorry, I should probably. We have not beaten a good team minus one game. Who's a divisional opponent, and typically you play those two. And that fucking coach, man, he makes games out of shit that shouldn't be games.
I know.
Like, it's truly crazy. It's truly crazy. Like, it shouldn't be shocking that we beat that team and then played them really well another week, because I don't really know with that coach what to think. Plus, so it's like that. But like, other than that, we have not beaten a very good football team. So we gotta act with a little bit of caution. I feel like we're very positive right now. We got good vibes. We won 5 out of 6 or whatever.
Yep.
Like, we feel good. So it's like, but like, let's just pump the brakes a little bit. You and I, and for sure me, I'm the biggest flip-flopper there's ever been. If we play like shit on Sunday, next Tuesday you're going to hear me say pretty much the opposite. Like, I don't think this is it.
You know what though? I think, especially with that game, I think that only solidifies how important that it is. Like, I'm completely okay with acknowledging that in this rivalry, in my lifetime, one, it hasn't been a rivalry, and we've been the little brothers, to a point where I'm like, I tell my Packers fans, like, why do you have any angst towards the Bears? I get the making fun of us for being bet, totally get that. But like, to have the same level of angst that we have towards you, we're the little brother. We get our ass kicked every fucking year.
100%.
So it's like, I'm okay acknowledging that. I'm also okay with saying, this is our Super Bowl. I hope the players feel that way. I know ownership. I know the McCaskies feel that way. And I hope Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles feel the exact same way. And you're talking about a quarterback who is still fighting for his job, who's still looking to prove himself. I know he's saying he's not, but he's also acknowledging he hears the noise, which I think adds into what we're saying earlier. Like the fact that he acknowledges that and is still like doing what he's doing is top tier shit. But you have a team that knows the situation, and they know that the Bears hate the Packers. They know it. This is probably one of the few rivalries left in football with the way sports is now. It's like the rivalries sort of are becoming more of a thing of the past. I think the AFC North still has some too. So that to me only heightens how important this game is, not just because it's Bears versus Packers, but there's layers to this. The job security stuff I just mentioned, obviously Bears versus Packers, but then the extra layer to it is Bears win, Packers are out of the playoffs. That's a little feather in the cap. The one thing that George McCaskey that I'll always give him credit for, I know he's made some bonehead decisions. I'll never stick up for him for those, but he's always gone on record and said, I'm just a fan of the team, and I fucking hate the Packers. I'm a fan. I try to do my best to get football advisors to come in and guide the searches and yada, yada. So I'm just here because I'm the fucking son. Like I was the son of the dad, but I'm a fan of the team. I love the team, and that's why I try to stay in my lane. And with that said, there is always heightened importance on the Packers. It's to a point where I thought Lovey was like, he probably was here a year or two longer because he was the only coach that ever like really beat them consistently. Because those games carry a little bit more weight to ownership, as they probably should. Because like the one thing that you said is like divisional games, they're played easier, and it's not just because you see these guys twice a year. That's an element to it, but it's because as a GM, when you're building your team, you're looking more closely about who you're competing with, because those are the games that matter the most, because you're playing them 6 times a year. Like you're playing these teams twice a year. So you have to match up better with them than with anybody else. So like adding to the rivalry and the history, and like it's there and it means something. And again, I'm okay with being a little broad. I know the Packers probably aren't looking at it this way, the Packers fans, and I'm okay with that. But I'm fucking here. I am going to get drunk as a goddamn skunk if we beat the Packers. It just is what it is. That's my Super Bowl this year. That should be our Super Bowl this year. I'm okay if people clown me for it. I'm all in. And I haven't felt that way about the Bears versus Packers probably since 2018, when the Bears had an opportunity to clinch a playoff berth with that win that they had at Soldier Field.
Yeah, I mean, this is very much like Clippers fans being like, yeah, we fucking hate the Lakers. Like, this is like that same shit, because it's like,
it's Sox Cubs. It's Sox Cubs. The Sox fans.
We haven't been very good. Yeah, like, we haven't been very good. They've beaten the shit out of us. They've had 2 generational quarterbacks back to back. Fucking bullshit. But yeah, I mean, it's a big game. I mean, it's a big, like you said, it's layered. There's layers to this. It's a big game for multiple reasons. Lovey, maybe one of my favorite things about Lovey was in his first press conference after he got hired, his number one priority was to beat the Packers, and I'll never forget that. And let's bring Lovey back. DC for Vrabel. We bring in Todd Monken or some cool OC, Tampa's OC, and like, let's just go. Let's just ride it. Let's just go. I would love to knock the Packers out. It would be a great feeling. I think I would definitely have a little shot of tequila if that was the scenario. We knock those fuckers out of the playoffs. Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, like, honestly though, like, that's kind of second on my list. Like, it's like, this is a big game for Flus. I gotta say, like, let's play it. Like, at least we're playing someone who's in the playoff race. This game also matters to them. Like, let's see what we do. They embarrassed us at the start of the season. So it's like, we do another thing like that, like, there's going to be some changes around here.
No, yeah, and that was the thing is, and I'm amped up. I've been off. I'm off this week from work as well, so I've been drinking more caffeine than I probably should. So I've been fucking getting into it. But the one of the points that I was going to make was, not only is this important, I mean, just because even if it wasn't the Packers, teams love to play spoiler. Like, they'll tell you this. This gives them something to play for, even if it's a 3-4 win team. They like doing shit like that. But this should be important, because our biggest takeaway from week 1 wasn't that you just lost to the Packers. We knew that we needed to rebuild. They got the doors knocked off of them. 1. 2, you look at the sideline in the middle of the third quarter, and it was a fucking funeral. I mean, these dudes were detached. Justin Fields had that sort of like 1,000-yard stare, and you're like, dude, what the fuck is that? Like to a point where we're thinking, like, Flus doesn't have this locker room. There's no way that he can, because this is, I mean, and it was only like a 1, or we were down like 10. It wasn't even like a 30-point. Like, I get at that, if you're just getting the doors knocked off you, maybe a big injury, someone tears the ACL. Cool. It is. Well, let's live to fight for next week. Everyone was healthy. We're down by 10. I think they had just scored, and they were just like, yep, that's it. It's all. Like, you can tell they tucked their tails in. So this is a measuring stick game from how far they've started this year to how far they are right now. And I mean, to your point, I still think there's a scenario in which the way you dressed it, I don't think you did this on purpose, but it was like the way you said it was, we may flip-flop totally next week and say, oh, we're ready. There's still a scenario in which maybe we feel like, listen, Justin didn't play his best game, and if this is what it's going to be, maybe we do have to get Caleb. But Flus, maybe the defense gave up 12 points, and you're like, listen, in this scenario, you probably still have to keep him, and vice versa. Like, if Fields goes out there and puts up 35 points, but Matt LaFleur just fucking unpantses Eberflus in that cover too and scores 42, it's like there's a scenario in which we're like, listen, Justin balled, I still stand where I stand, but Flus, listen, you got to go. Sorry, buddy. Like, there's still a scenario where there's a little bit of what is the right, I guess, contrast there. Where we're coming here next week saying something different about both of them.
100%. I mean, I'm prepared for LaFleur to really bring some shit out next week. And the Tampa 2, the way Flus coaches it, and this was his rep in Indy, anytime he played a nuanced offense, it was taken advantage of. And the Packers, like a lot of newer offenses, they use a lot of motion, and they're going to try to trip us up. They're going to try to identify coverages for Jordan Love where he can catch guys on the run and put them in a position to make plays. Like, this is a true test. I mean, this ain't the same team that they're playing. Like, we have clearly gotten better on the defensive end. So, and the Sweat trade, I mean, God damn it, Poles. He is on fucking fire right now. That guy.
And my God. And that's go ahead.
No. So, I mean, this is a true test. Joe Barry doesn't seem to know what he's doing on the other end of it. And it sounds like Jair Alexander is going to be out again. So maybe this is more of a barn burner than we think potentially. But I think Flus has got something to prove defensively for sure.
Yeah, and you listen, the other name that we neglected, I don't know how the fuck we didn't bring him up in this whole conversation, is there may be a scenario in which Getsy also saves his job. Because to me, when you think about from week 1 and really the first probably 6 games of the year, because it has been less horizontal, there's been still some games sprinkled in, this is an opportunity for him to show, because the one thing that we said after week 1 was like, look, it looked like the Packers knew what Getsy was going to do, and it's probably because he's from there. It's a chance for him to show some wrinkles in his offense to throw Joe Barry and that defense off a little bit more. But then the other thing too, when you talk about Flus, what Jordan Love and that offense did in week 1 was really pick on Tyreek Stevenson, and a lot of teams did for the first 4 or 5 games. Reek is looking different. It sounds like Jalen Reed is going to be out, so that helps you there. But if I was listen, if I'm LaFleur, if I'm Jordan Love, is this guy shell shocked? Is he seeing a little bit of green and gold and thinking about what happened week 1? I'm going after him. And this is an opportunity for him to really prove that he's turned the corner and say, listen, I know what I'm doing now. I found my footing here. So you even think about like the lack of reps that Gervon Dexter was getting. I know it was week 1, but like he has an opportunity to really make a stamp on a game. You've already talked about Montez Sweat, but the thing that I didn't mention earlier, because I feel like my brain's fucking firing on 17 cylinders right now, is the only guy that I will not flip-flop on next week or the week after or maybe even a year or two after is Ryan Poles. Because we're talking about these impact
100%.
plays that have been happening. That's Ryan Poles is doing. He's brought this talent here. And the one thing that we haven't touched on, Naz, and I was thinking about this when Gervon Dexter got that fucking sack, was the one thing that really gives me faith, probably above all, is one of the critiques about the Gervon Dexter draft pick was that he didn't play a similar defensive tackle style in college, and they drafted him based on, I forget what the athletic traits are called from the draft, but it's like an acronym, RAP or something, RAFT or something like that. And they were like, they're really banking on that. They did the same thing with Tyreek Stevenson. He didn't really play the cover too much. He was more of a man guy. Like, they were picking guys based off their actual traits, not just a perfect fit from what they did in college. That's really fucking encouraging that these guys are coming along, that they're able to identify talent in systems that aren't apples to apples. That to me is a huge.
They develop those guys,
and they developed them. And again,
I would call a year a short period of time.
Oh, 100%, especially because these guys, Tyreek in particular, he's learning on the fly. He's been a starter since day one. And I would even wager to say it's not the apples to apples comparison, but Braxton Jones starting last year as well into this year, like he's had to learn on the fly, and they've continued to develop him. He's been, I mean, it hasn't been great, but it's been a league average left tackle, which in the 5th round is a fucking, I mean, Jesus Christ, that's insane
literally.
value. So it's like when we think about what Poles has done, it's all, I feel like you also have to give credit to Eberflus in this development as well, because especially on the defensive side, he's helping identify that talent and bring these guys in. The same reason, and this is one of my points, Nas, I don't think we've ever talked about it in the pod, but we were texting about it, because I know at first you weren't the highest on the Montez Sweat trade, but admittedly you did say this is going to be a hindsight thing. If he balls out, I'm going to have to feel differently about it, because it is what it is. Like, it's always, some of these trades are always going to be hindsight. It just, it's what it is. But he didn't necessarily play the same style of defense in Washington, especially because some of the critique was, well, is he even the best guy there? Did he had help with on the inside? They had really good defensive tackles and Chase Young on the other end. No one necessarily game planned for him. They saw something in him. They have a prototype for these positions that they identify regardless of scheme that they're in, and they are bringing it together. So to me, dude, Ryan Poles, I mean, again, outside of Theo Epstein, because we had a full tenure there and a championship ring to be seen, I don't know if I've seen better GM work, especially in this short of time. Like, even Theo, I thought it was silly, but I remember radio calls to Waddle and Sylvie in 2013, like, we gotta fucking get rid of him. Like, Junior Lake sucks. What is he thinking? And he's just like, our best guys are still in single A and double A, and like Chris Bryant's still in college and yada yada. But like, to see this happen so quick, I mean, it was why that I think I know Jack had said the same thing. Like, the reason why I was never down on him even early in the year when you're 0-4, 1-5 was I just agree with his philosophy. I see what he's trying to do. It reminded me so much of John Lynch, even though you had the Reuben Foster draft and the Solomon Thomas thing, and I know he fleeced Ryan Pace, but like, he didn't make good draft picks with that. Like, I think you stick with guys when you really see, but this is coming together like way earlier than I think anyone would have thought. Yeah. It's almost insane.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you want to talk about someone I will not flip-flop on? It will take years for me to be like, yeah, Poles ain't the guy. It will take multiple seasons, because just the position alone to be in this scenario takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of intelligence, and he's got the green light for me where, like, go do your thing, babe. I'm not going to be a watch over your shoulder at every move. You got whatever you want. And I'm just here, babe. Just go do your thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's almost like I have the same feeling as when the Pittsburgh Steelers draft a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd. Like, he's going to be good. Like, it's just what it is. Like, do your thing, baby. I'm going to draft him at some point in fantasy because I know he's going to put up numbers. Like, it just is what it is. Like, that's just what they do. So yeah, no, we're on the same page with Poles, and just like you said, there's nothing this year, probably even next year, especially because like the one thing that and maybe early on it was more of that like puppy love. It's a drastic contrast from what Ryan Pace was doing with like paying people probably because he liked them a little too much or they were his guys, and some bad contracts and trade ups nonstop. The fact that he has that philosophy is we're just not going to overpay people, but then it's like not only that. I think what we're going to see now is you may even get people at lesser than market value or not like necessarily super above value with this culture that you're building here. And I know people say like, well, guys are just there to get them. Some people are, and they should. I'm never going to knock someone for getting their money. But we saw TJ Edwards sign for here. He could have signed for more money than that. He got higher offers. That was on the right. Like, and that was God before we even had what we had.
Balled out lately.
He's been so fucking good to a point. Like, I'm ready to extend him already. Good. Like, get him.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. And then Edmonds is coming along as well. I know he had a slow start to the season. I think the only guy that you're probably iffy on right now because he's been inconsistent is Nate Davis. My only reservation is sometimes you look at like the Robert Quinn thing. He was awful in year one. It's a total adjust. Like, I think what people don't take into account, and I'm not trying to give the guy too many excuses, but you are moving to a brand new city. Your kids are in new schools, and it's a whole like sometimes it can be a ton. So hopefully next year he can put it all together. But yeah, you're not gonna hear me or probably anyone on this podcast say a bad word about Ryan Poles. Nas.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Robert Quinn, I haven't heard his fucking name since he's been away from the team. What's he even doing right now?
And
so it's like, was that a bad move?
The fact that he got a fourth for him when he wasn't doing anything that year, it was mid-year when they got rid of him. It wasn't him capitalizing off of the 19 and a half sacks or whatever it was the year before that in the offseason, you know? So, yeah. Nas, I'm all in.
I was just taking a peek at Nate Davis's contract. Just like it's a good deal though. Like there's a potential out after next season, and it's like the cap hit after that's $2 million. It's like it's not like he handicapped us by signing a guy like that, you know. So it's like you internally eval and you move on if he's not up for this.
Yeah,
like it's fine.
Well, there's other, and dude, I can fucking go. Like the more that I'm things are popping in my head, I can go on for probably another hour about it. But you look about like Schmitz, he got drafted by the Giants. He's not looked very good. I know centers take some time, but people, me amongst them, were pissed that they didn't draft him. I thought the second, third round was a good place to get him, but he hasn't been all that great. You think about Mike McGlinchey, who's been just getting fucking abused in Denver. Like the signings that some of us, me included, wanted have worked out in the. And I'm never rooting against guys because they're not Bears, but seeing the way that they are panning out right now, it's like, dude, Poles clearly has a process. He clearly has guys, you know, with prototypes and salary structures. And so what does he call them? Like the buckets. He has the buckets. And even like the way they talked about Montez Sweat being a multiplier, we're seeing that in real time with Javon Dexter just
100%.
fucking being Jalen Carter all of a sudden. God. Like it's insane to see. Like that's the one thing. And again, I mean, it's sort of the way that we talked about Justin Fields, like just with the way he's handled everything. The one thing that I've appreciated about Ryan Poles, maybe even a little bit too much, he can say too much at press conferences, but I will take transparency from a GM over only hearing from Ryan Pace once a year. Like that was clown behavior. You don't do 100%. That. So
no, it's because he knew what the outside narrative was, and he didn't want to get asked tough questions.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's just like you're a bitch, dude.
Yeah, and Poles hasn't hid from that. Again, maybe he's part of me though too is like, I know some people say he's showing his hand, but sometimes when you have the best fucking deck, does it matter if you're showing your hand? You know what I mean? Like
yeah. I mean, what I've observed from Poles is he's calculated. He is not putting stuff out for no reason. You know, and there was a lot of judgment about the Flus story that dropped over the weekend about him expected to stay. And you and I and Jack were talking about it. And of the storylines that could go out, this is the best scenario for the Bears. The last 2 weeks, we're talking about Justin and Flus, and we're talking about the development of the team. And none of the players are being asked about their coach being a lame duck coach. That is great for a locker room. I don't care what anybody says. Being constantly asked those questions about your coach potentially not being here, on top of people already asking them about Justin, it's like that's taking away a bullet from the chamber of reporters to create distractions for the team. So, like, and I don't even know if it could be true. Like maybe it is a thing, but like if it weren't and we move on from Flus, I would not be shocked for 1 second. Like I think Poles has shown himself to be savvy enough to like get things out for a reason. And he's not really thinking about himself. He's thinking about what the health of the team is in the locker room.
I totally agree. No, and when you first brought that up in the chat or in our text, I was like, I don't. But then the more I thought about it, and the more you explained, I was like, that is probably a thing. Whether it's true or not, it would add even more merit if it was true. But even if it wasn't, that report being there 100% takes that away. Because I mean, I was kind of pissed at the reporter for asking DJ Moore that about a few weeks ago about, yeah, do you want kid? Like, come on, dude. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Ask that the polls. I get it. You ask it the polls because he's the decision maker. But you start adding that divisiveness into things. But again, and I know we talked about, so I don't want to continue to harp, but the fact that not only he was like a good teammate in that moment, but now they're like going fucking hard for Justin. You're seeing it from Walker. Why am I blanking on this? For DeMarcus Walker. You're seeing it from other guys. You're seeing it from fucking Darrington Evans, who's on the Dolphins right now. He's not even a Bear anymore. like, come on, man. You know, it's so. Anyway, Nas, I am normally going into Packers week, and this has been this way probably since 2018, and well before then as well. I would have sat up here and looked you in the virtual eyes and said, they got to prove it to me. I'm not picking the Bears. I can't because I'm scorned, and they just can't beat the Packers. But listen, I'm here to say I'm all in. I think the Bears are going in the Lambeau. I think the defense is balling out. Because the one thing we didn't touch on, Khalil Herbert looks. We were talking about he looked bad earlier. He looks healthy now. Something was off.
The juice was loose.
The juice has been fucking loose. The last 2 weeks he's put it back together. And then, but I like the dynamic between him and Roschon. It's not to say we probably don't need another running back next year. Khalil may even get rid of him or whatever. But Roschon, the way he lowers his shoulder and the way he's just a bulldozer versus the way that Khalil Herbert is more of that speed and more of the off tackle guy. It's been fun these last couple of weeks, but I think if Getsy can rely on the run and can continue to do misdirection like the last few weeks have been, get Justin out of the pocket. I don't know if it's him coaching. I don't know if it's Justin just taking it into his own hands, saying if I don't like what I see, I'm going to scramble. I'm going to run because again, sometimes that's okay. We've seen it the last few weeks. I think it happens, dude. I think they put a fucking exclamation point on this season, and I know it sounds fucking, they're 8-9 and it's an exclamation. Fuck you. I don't care. I don't fucking care whoever thinks that way, especially if you're a Bears fan, because you're fucking, you're miserable if you think that way.
What's the difference between us doing this year and the Lions doing this last year?
Exactly.
There's no fucking difference.
Because I didn't hear any. Did you hear anything like that?
And that's why narratives piss me off, because the whole Eagles thing early part of the season, they're fucking they're like finding ways to win, but like they're playing like shit. And people are like, oh, there's that fucking playoff swagger, Jalen Hurts, he's him. It's just like, nah, they're doing exactly what the fucking Vikings did last year. It's just nobody likes Kirk Cousins. So you just want to say, like, you're like, I don't see it happening in the playoffs this year, man. Kirk, like have you seen their like 11-0 in one possession games, like all that bullshit? Is like, and then the Eagles fucking do it. It's like, oh, look at the fucking swag, the poise of this team. It's just like, I don't know about that. Like those narratives just piss me off. And momentum going into an offseason is a thing. And there was also a scenario if certain teams lost on Sunday where like we would be in the playoff. Like it wasn't like we were playing for absolutely nothing. Like we still had a shot. And to knock out the Packers, that's not nothing either. So Let's go. I mean, it's almost the same as the Lions. The Lions had the exact same opportunity at the end of last year. They played the Packers week 18. They didn't have a chance to go in the playoffs, but they had a chance to knock the Packers out. We have the same opportunity to take into the offseason. Let's go.
Yeah, no, and again, I also think it's like a win for this team is going to prove them right. Because when they were 1-5, when they were 0-4, when they were 2-6, whatever the record, I know it was something along those lines. They were like, look at what the Lions did last year. We know, not only were the players saying this after games, after tough losses, saying we're not far away. We saw what the Lions did last year. We know we're building something. We haven't given up on this coach. We haven't given up on each other. But then Ryan Poles gets there. And this is, I think, before the sweat trade when he was like, it's closer than you guys think. You guys don't see what happens in that locker room. And that may have been, just for some people, a bit of a turning point. Like, yeah, this guy's fucking buried himself to Eberflus. He's a clown, and I heard some shit. But they weren't wrong. I mean, but the thing is, this game can prove them absolutely that they weren't wrong. If they say, you know what, we just got off to, and it would be an excuse, absolutely, but they can tell themselves, we got off to a slow start this year. It was what it was. It took a while for us to gel. This is who we are really now, though. This is who we are. And again, like this shit like that, like people think it's like things of movies, but that's not, like, this is real shit, especially when you take into account what me and you were talking about with job security and the number one pick with Justin. Like, this fucking matter. These people aren't idiots. There's a reason why the mentally fragile people in this city have to turn off the TVs at Hallis Hall, because they're afraid of this type of shit. This team hasn't been. They haven't shied away.
And I think from a long-term lens perspective, like, we win this game, we have this great momentum going into the offseason. That doesn't mean Flus is going to live out the next 2 years on his deal.
Right.
Like, if the late game struggles in close games continues next year, even if we have a winning record, if Poles feels like we're close and he's got his third year sample size of Flus not being able to close out close games, he could easily be out next year. And we'll still have our talent level will still be high. We'll still be in a great scenario for Justin or for Caleb, whoever it ends up being. Like, this is not the end all be all for where we're going to be for the next 5 years. Like, just keeping Flus now does not mean, oh, this is going to be our situation for the next 5 years. Like, yeah, there's a good amount riding on this week, but that's not to say like, oh, this is going to solidify who we are. There's a lot that can change. We are a team on the rise, and necessary tweaks. Poles has shown me like he is going to do what's necessary. Like, and
Agreed.
so, yeah, I mean, and Vegas thinks this weekend's a pick 'em. It's Packers -3, and that's what that's the home. That's generally considered like home field.
Yeah.
Maybe this year it's closer to like 2 points for what Vegas has been doing, but they're generally saying this is a pick 'em.
Yeah.
And I like that. But the only issue I have with that is if it's a pick 'em, that means it's going to be a close game. And who's going to fuck up more, LaFleur or Flus? Who's going to mismanage the end of this game? It's going to come down to that, man. And now I've even convinced myself if we lose a close game because Flus can't manage the end again, he might be out.
Yeah.
A fourth time,
I know,
mismanaging the end of a game that's very winnable. I mean, it probably won't be another scenario where we're 95% more likely to win and he'll blow it. Like it'll be something a little more fluky, but if he fumbles another end of game situation, man, no pun intended. I mean, it could be lights out for the guy. Which is why getting the story out about Flus is genius again. Like getting it out, then like shutting all that talk down, and then like giving yourself as a GM air to breathe and to take it in and to evaluate, and no one's fucking bugging you about it.
I know.
It's fucking genius. It's like the guy's thinking on a different level, and all the talking heads are losing their minds over this shit. It's just like, who's not losing their minds? The GM right now and the players, because no one's fucking talking to them about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's yeah. I cannot wait for the offseason. I'm ready for this game. I truly am. And I guess to put a stamp on it, I would rather lose like week 1 than have the 99% we're up by 20 with 5 minutes to go and they fucking blow it somehow. That would be astronomically. That would be the worst way I think you can go into the offseason. But yeah, I'm rolling with the Bears, dude. And I know it's a little bit from the heart. I know it's a fandom probably is going to bite me in the ass, but I'm just too amped on this team right now. And I haven't felt this way since 2018. And before then, I don't even fucking know when. When was the last time before 2018 that we felt really good about this team? It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. So, Nas, did you have anything else before we get out of here?
No. I'm good. I'm glad. What'd you think of the trade? What did you think of the trade? Was it something you thought about already? No,
the Atlanta trade, the proposal. No, yeah. I haven't thought about Atlanta at all. The only two that I've seen the most of. So I guess I maybe could have come up with something like that later on. I'm glad you brought it up to me because now that's expanded my mind of what else can happen. The only two that I've really jotted around were Washington and Las Vegas. Thinking I've seen Washington with Terry coming back, which would be fucking insane to pair him with DJ Moore. And then I've seen the Raiders with Max Crosby, which again, Montez Sweat and Max Crosby. Could you fucking imagine?
I honestly, I think Crosby has entered the untradeable list.
He might have.
He is such a fucking Raider. Like
he is.
Like personality and player. Like you can't trade that guy.
But
the dude makes fucking plays.
Agreed. But could you imagine Club Dub with him and Justin and DJ with fucking cigars?
I truly can't. Ooh, man. There's a lot, man.
I know.
Ooh.
And Arizona has seemingly taken themselves out. They said they're sticking with Kyler next year. Probably due to contract reasons, though, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, he's getting paid a dickload.
Yeah, yeah.
Would New Orleans trade up for Olave? Like, he just got that speeding incident. And then it's like all of a sudden, it's like, all right.
Justin and him got some chemistry.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. Listen,
I mean, Oh my god, this is so much fun, dude.
That
this
was
is
the goddamn.
So much fun.
That was the last thing I forgot. Again, I feel like I've gone on tangents, and it sort of is what it is. I'm just amped up. But that's the one. Another reason why I'm in Fields' corner is because of what you mentioned of like, just if you build around him, you see what he's done with DJ Moore. That's sort of the smoking gun for me. The other stats, his stats with DJ Moore are drastically different than anyone else. And I get DJ Moore is like a fringe top 15 guy. You're probably not going to have that. Well, if you have Olave, maybe. But you get competency around him. I think that continues to happen versus like Tyler Scott and Equanimeous St. Brown. And like last year it was fucking Byron Pringle. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, it just sort of points to like who could have done more. There's only a handful of guys who could do anything more than what he's done versus like, and you're seeing it now with the dynamic of having DJ Moore there versus a literal and Kmet versus everyone else on the team. Like the chemistry's off, even to a point where like it just looks like times where it could be overthrows, but it also looks like that's maybe not where receiver was supposed to be. Something just looked off, whether that was Fields' fault or the receiver. Like it's a chemistry and
there's
trust
something
thing.
to be said that the one guy he trusts is having a career year,
Yeah.
and other teams cannot stop it. They can't stop
I know.
it. Like, I mean, and you want to talk about a misevaluation? Like, Panthers, did you not know how good your own player was? This dude is so fucking good.
I know.
It's crazy. It's truly crazy.
Well, the Panthers operation was so bad that other people bought into him not being that good either, which I liked. I got into scouting with Dynasty, and when he was a rookie, I fucking loved. I picked him in the first round everywhere I could in my rookie draft for my Dynasty leagues. I thought he was phenomenal. So a lot of experts who come in like, I don't think he's a true one. Like I see it. I saw it with him. I loved him.
I don't know about that. And I mean, I wonder if that helmet off at the end of last year's game against Atlanta, like fucked with the narrative a little bit. Like, it was such a bullshit penalty. He just caught a fucking bomb to win the game.
From PJ Walker. That was the PJ Walker. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's out of bounds and he takes his helmet off. And he gets flagged for that bullshit. Like, I wonder how much that like maybe affected like his like, or like, yeah, maybe he's not that smart a player. It's like, this guy's a fucking G. All right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
God.
And I think the other layer to add into that is like what you talked about, the career year, no one can stop it. And that's in a pretty fucking bland and predictable offense at that. Like, could you imagine if there was some creativity with using this guy? Like, he may have 1,600 yards this year.
Like, the only game plan, the game plan consists of two things: containing Justin and limiting DJ Moore's effect on the game.
Yeah.
And they can't fucking stop it.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know. Oh man. I hope win, lose, or draw against the Packers, we can at least have this feeling, which a loss, it'd be tough to feel this way after a loss, but like, this is what I wanted. Like before the year, me and Jack, all we said was, this was around the win range that we thought. 6 to 10, because the schedule was weak, but realistically like 6 to 8 was what we thought. 9 if you locked into one. But it was more about the fun. It was more about the let's be a team that we want to fucking watch. I don't want to be an unwatchable team. I don't want to be this team that, is exclusively running the ball 40 times and it's defense in the black and blue division. I'm ready for this to be a modern day team. And I if we're not there, we're not far from that. It is a team to be excited about. It's a team that I think is being built properly. And it's just giving me shades of the Theo Cubs, man. It truly is, dude. It feels like the 2015 Cubs. Like, you got the young talent in places and it's getting pieced. Who's who's John Lester? Who is Jake Arrieta? Who's the guy to take, you know what I mean? It's
like, who's going to take like that crazy leap that, don't foresee? Yeah. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about this? Okay. Tennessee's at 7. Okay. So what if they go 3 firsts, a second, and like a 5th and D-Hop for the number 1 pick and like and a 4th rounder for next year?
I like Hop a lot, but he's gonna get old. He's eventually just gonna get old.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. You would like someone a little bit younger. I mean, but again, I would just for the first
like having
alone.
Jump ball guys. I like having jump ball guys.
He fits
and like he's not a jump ball guy. Like, it feels like he catches every 50-50 ball. Like,
I know.
It's like he always manages to come down with it. It's like having someone like that who's not like great in burst, but like just fucking throw it over there.
Yep.
He'll make a play. Like, I like that for Justin too.
I wouldn't hate it. That's what makes me really hate that Treylon Burks probably isn't going to be a thing, because if he was as good as I thought he was going to be coming out, that would be a guy that you would target in a trade like this,
Right.
just age and contract wise. But no, I mean, I feel like there's nothing off there's going to be 6, 7, potentially 8 guys, 8 teams that are calling for that number 1 pick. And that was what I said last week. This is before Fields, did what he did this past week. Was there's just going to be an offer that, regardless, like, so say you think Caleb is here as a prospect or his ceiling, and Justin's here or here, because I don't think it's like I don't think it's crazy. But even if you're a little, there's going to be an offer where these firsts and the starters are going to overlap that. It just is what it is. Someone's going to give you a king's ransom to get Caleb Williams, and I don't think Ryan Poles can say no to it.
You look at who needs a QB, like, it's fucking crazy, dude.
It is.
Like, all right, so like Washington, New England, the Giants, the Titans, like, I don't think Levis is I don't think, like, he can make throws, but, like, I'm not sure he's a thing. The Jets, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Vikings, like, those are all in the top 12 that I just said.
Yep.
Like this is fucking crazy. Oh my God. I fast forward to draft night. Like, let's go.
Dude, how and my wife is gonna cuss me out if I'm not out by like 8. So but could you imagine? What if they wait until draft night? They draft Caleb. Listen, they draft Caleb. But then they start then playing into, okay, not only are we going to still trade, we're going to make a trade, but they're going to go team by team. You have to pick him because I want to guarantee this prospect in this trade when we swap. And what else are you going to give me? Ooh, could you imagine,
God,
Nas?
dude.
God damn, I'm so
God.
excited. I'm so excited for the offseason.
Dude, like, the Giants could throw some shit at us, and, like, maybe we take Marv at 5.
I know.
Like,
I think with wide receiver being the biggest need in the first round, because you're not going to get a center in the first. You're probably going to get one in the second or third. Hopefully you sign a vet. I don't know who's out there, but a veteran, or maybe even trade for a veteran. They're the top 3. Someone's going to be there in the top 12, I think. There's no way. And then
I agree.
The fallback.
I agree, man.
I haven't liked the tape yet. I haven't taken a deep dive, but everyone else loves him, so I'm just go with it for right now. But the fallback seems to be Brock Bowers right now. Like, he's going to be somewhere in the top 12 too. So it's like,
I honestly, I don't know how good that guy is.
I haven't really liked his film than what I've saw.
I just feel like we could.
He doesn't jump off from tight end film.
Like,
he doesn't jump off the film to me like Hawkinson did, like Pitts did, and even like Kincaid did. Like, he didn't have that.
Yeah.
And I even like Noah Fant as a prospect. I thought his tape was very good with at Iowa with Hawkinson. So. But I don't know, Bowers are like, people are high on him, and I'm like, I must be missing something. I haven't taken the deep dive like I have with some of the quarterbacks, but
yeah,
it just doesn't jump off the page right now at me yet.
I kind of agree. Like, I think he's very good. I don't think it's that high a need. Well, like, when someone like Kyle Pitts is possibly available, like, when you can find these dudes that, like, I know for a fact are better. Like, I have no doubt Kyle Pitts is better than fucking Brock Bowers. Like, or like Isaiah Likely could be better than Brock Bowers.
He's
like,
a very good player.
Like, there's dudes out here, man, that, like, I know for a fact are better than him, or I am more sure that they're going to be good and serviceable at that position for a cheaper price.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
I just don't think it's to our advantage to draft a tight end. Like, there's other positions where we could get real value especially with this second pick that's just lingering at 10. Like,
I know.
I wonder if Poles is going to trade back twice.
So I was going to say,
like, the double trade back. You trade back from 1 to like 6,
and then 10
you trade
to like
back from
20
10
something.
to like 23.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's.
Oh my God.
I mean. Oh my God.
But with that 10 pick, you would be looking to go into the mid 20s, because then you would for sure get another first. I mean, imagine having fucking 3 firsts in 2025.
Ooh.
Again, that's exactly why though.
This would be like what the Eagles did when they got that influx of talent for those couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be a very similar scenario. It's very similar. I mean, it'll also be very similar to what the Lions just did when they got Jared Goff and 3 firsts for Stafford.
But that's exactly why I just want people to not be in this position where they feel like this is the year. If you're out on Fields, I mean, if you also just think Caleb is generational, I'm not going to talk you out of that. It is what I know. He's a very good player. I think he's going to be very good in the NFL. But this isn't going to be the only chance. If we have 3 firsts next year, in this scenario that we painted, you can trade 2 of them to move up to, and maybe even like, because you're going to have 2 the next year as well. You can trade 2 that year and then 1 the next year to get the number 1 pick. You get the Shador or whoever's number 1. And then you still have another first. Like, dude, the world is in Ryan Poles' palms. And this isn't the only year that if Fields, if you're out on him, that you replace him. I just think we're one draft and one offseason away from doing so.
Also, it's like, you think Caleb is better than Justin? I could argue it's not worth it. It's really about how big you think that gap is.
I think it's how
I think it's pretty likely Caleb's going to be better than Justin.
He could be,
if Justin ends up being top 15 and Caleb ends up being top 8, I don't know if that's big enough of a gap for the haul that we're about to get.
That's what I mean.
Now, if you're of the mind that you are convinced Caleb's going to be top 5, and I mean, he looks very good, but like, no, you don't really know. The hit rate is so fucking low on these guys.
Yep.
Like, you don't really know. But if you're of the mind that he's going to be top 5 and he ends up being top 5, we're going to hear that for the next 15 years. But it's like, is that worth the risk? If I'm Poles too, like, if I get everything right besides Justin, I can still keep my job. If I get rid of Justin and I am dead wrong on Caleb, I'm out of this job.
You're done.
I'm out of this job in 2 years.
If you may be out after 1 year if he's Bryce Young, because this team, just like you said, this is going to be a playoff roster next year.
He is not Bryce Young though.
Like, no. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying in the scenario in which he's a colossal bust, which I don't think he will be. But just you never really know. You never know. You're done after a year because at least you knew what you had with Justin, and you won 7, potentially 8 games with him, and you could have had even more talent around him and built the team. So it's like, I just don't think it's worth it right now, and I don't think the discrepancy is that big because you're also comparing. The thing is you're comparing ceilings. Even if Caleb winds up being better, I don't know if he's going to be better next year. That's you're probably talking 2-3 years down the road when he gets a team built around him.
I mean,
and yada yada.
I mean, it also depends who's coaching too, right? Like,
yep.
If what if the Dolphins just decide, all right, this was our last year with Tua? Like, I mean, I don't think they will. Did they sign him? Did they sign him to an extension this year?
They did. I don't think it was very. I mean, it was very team friendly from what I remember.
Okay, so like maybe like, and they got like, we put Caleb with Mike McDaniel. I'm feeling a different type of way.
Oh, I am too. Oh, I 100%.
You put Caleb with like Zach Taylor. Like, I'm not convinced Zach Taylor's that good at what he does. Like, I'm not even convinced LaFleur is that good at what he does. Like there's certain coaches that I'm not so sure about. Like, if he ends up in New Orleans, am I positive like Caleb's going to end up good, like being good? Like, no, I'm not. But like, there's certain coaches you can pair him up with, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's a good move for them. Like, I like that for them. Like, his ceiling goes higher because of who's coaching him.
Yep. I'm going to make a prediction. Bears trade back with Washington. Scary Terry comes back in the deal. We get some firsts, some seconds, whatever. Bieniemy, head coach, pair him up with Caleb.
Scary Terry. I like it.
Or Dotson, maybe Jahan Dotson. I like him too, but he hasn't really proven he's
Scary Terry. I love him. I just wonder what the contract situation is.
He's sneaky
this
old,
is what
though.
makes he is exactly.
He's like 29,
30, bro. Or he's 20. He's 28.
Yeah,
he's 28.
I think 28.
Okay. He's okay. There is an opt out after next season, and it's a very controlled amount of $15 million. That's pretty good. I mean, you got but the thing is, Justin needs size, dude.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. You're right. I like. The more I'm thinking, I love that Atlanta trade, dude.
I'm just saying, man. Get him a mismatched nightmare, like, and that just makes his job easier.
Yeah.
Like,
where is, dude? My wife's gonna fucking kill me. Where is Seattle picking? Because what if you get DK? What if you get DK with some firsts? Talk about size.
They're at 15. I think the one who leaves their team is going to be Lockett. I think this is Lockett's last year with the team, because JSN has emerged.
He looks good. Yeah,
he looks good. And
but I'm just saying,
I think
the quarter. They're I love what Geno did last year. I think he's a solid quarterback. Their ceiling is their ceiling with what they have there.
Yeah, I mean,
can they lose? If they lose, can they be like closer to 10? Can they get to like 12?
I mean, oh my God.
I know like there's drastic. This last week is going to have drastic shifts to the draft order, but if they can lose and they get like 11, dude, you get fucking DK. Oh man.
There's so much on the table. I was like, what if they give us one of their young corners in the trade, and then we let Jalen walk? Like, I don't know.
Wait, if they get who? Sauce?
If we get one of their young corners, Seattle,
like Weatherspoon?
Yeah, or Woolen, and it's just like all of a sudden it's like, okay, now do we let Jalen go?
I know,
and like that's like an expense that we don't have, and then like that changes the versatility of the team.
So, but the other thing that I thought you were gonna read, this has to be the last thing, and then I gotta go. So what if they trade to like 10, 11, 8, whatever it is, and then they trade? But I thought you were gonna say earlier, you said trade down. What if they trade back up to get Marv? They trade up to like 5 from like 8.
Oh shit!
Oh. Dude, there's so much that can happen. I cannot wait. Like, if I can just like take a nap and wake up and it's April, I will be in fucking heaven.
Yeah, let me go hibernate for 3 months and just wake me up draft day. Fuck, this is so much fucking fun.
I know, dude. I mean, the content that we're gonna be able to have this offseason to talk about is, I mean, polls. That's part of the. I mean, it's really not why I want them here still, but like. Just that effect alone. Like this is great. This is fucking phenomenal. For Bears podcasters, we have so much to talk about.
Where do we rank Poles in top GMs in Chicago sports history? Is he already top 10?
I mean, I feel like he has to be.
We've
had such such poor poor ownership in front offices that I don't see how you couldn't. He could very easily fall out if he just shits the bed over the year. But as it stands right now, power ranking wise, anyway, absolutely.
Oh my God, the
guy is one for me. I don't think, and I don't know much about the Blackhawks.
How could you argue?
They had a little dynasty going. I don't know who their GM was. He probably is in that conversation. Jerry Krause, 6 rings.
Jerry Krause is probably 1. Theo's probably 2.
Yeah, Blackhawks. Did they have the same GM across those 3 rings?
Stan Bowman. I mean, yeah, I guess it's probably. I don't know, how much do you value the 1 World Series win at the I guess it comes down to that. The Hawks won 3 in their dynasty, the Bulls won 6 in theirs. I
mean, and then it's like, what else do you have? Like, what else was there?
I mean, the 80 Bears, pretty good. That's George Halas.
Yeah.
I mean, George Halas probably won.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He's, I mean, just for the whole thing that goes around that. So you have your 4 there, but then like who? Like, what are you gonna fucking put Jerry Angelo?
I mean,
that's how you almost have to.
I mean, I can't
by default.
I can't put John Paxson in there. Like,
no,
I disagree with like 90% of the moves.
You're probably putting the White Sox for Jerry. What the fuck was his name? Not Reinsdorf. William Kenny Williams is probably somewhere in the top 10.
Fuck that guy. He's a loser.
All right, Nas. Dude, this episode was fucking fun.
All right, dude. Yeah, that was awesome.
I cannot wait. If we beat the Packers next week, dude, we may have a 2-hour podcast. I don't know if I can shut up. I don't know if I'll be able to be quiet.
Oh my God, we beat the Packers. Yeah, I'll just let you go off, man.
Just a solo podcast. If Jack is here, you'll just both be there, and it's just gonna be me fucking just rambling drunk on the. Oh God. All right, y'all. Thank you everyone for watching, for listening. Again, like, share, subscribe. If you know some Bears fans that are as amped as us, fucking throw this their way. If people are down for whatever reason, throw them their way. Maybe we can get people amped up and get ready.
This
for
is an upper. I would classify this pod as an upper.
If you're miserable right now as a Bears, if you are not in a good mood as a Bears fan today in this moment, you're fucking just a miserable person. You got to go. You can be miserable if we lose to the Packers, because I will be too. But like right now, let's live in the moment. Let's love it. And we will catch you all next week after the Bears go into Lambeau and beat the shit out of Jordan Love. Later, Nas.
Ooh,
Later,
yeah.
everybody.
See ya.